Hello everyone, this is Sean and this is model number 6, my 2500 scale Enterprise C. This first video will consist of all the pictures I took in 2018 of the build, and part 2 will have 2019 and beyond. So this is the very first model that I built, painted, and decaled all by myself, and since I was still at Cold Lake at the time, I used the kitchen table, as you'll see in the next picture, as my model building surface. Now, it took about half an hour to assemble this model because there was only about 5 or 6 pieces in total. Well, maybe 10. And you can see the assembled model here, but there was no stand. So I had to use my Construx and adapt a stand, as you can see here. And there's a better view of the front. There you go, see? Now don't worry, I found a spare stand later when I got to Quebec and bought them, but in the meantime, I used the chrome spray because that's the only spray paint I had. This time it went on all smoothly because I didn't try to mask off anything. And of course I sprayed it outside on my deck with appropriate shield, like a big bin or something. And of course I take the pictures from all sides. On the floor, that was the floor of the living room, if my memory's correct. Then, of course, I moved to Grandpa's cedar chest, which became the model display surface during my entire time at Cold Lake. Now, don't worry, this paint job that you see on it with the dark blue on the top of the nacelles and the red impulse engine, that was only a preliminary beginning paint job. It got a better paint job later. And of course you have to take the edge on side and rear pictures. I was still doing the metallic trim because that's what I had at Walmart in the folk art line. So I took all those pictures and painted in the phasers with a metallic, I think that was either bronze or antique copper. And you can see the yellow on the side of the nacelles between the red Bussard collector and the light blue warp grills. Hadn't got to painting the impulse engine blue like it was on the Enterprise C, at least not yet. Yeah, I took a lot of the beauty shots, but you could roll it around on the Construx carrot. See, from that angle, you can't even tell it's on anything. Must be leaning on the table somehow. Or the cedar chest, yes, there, that's true. And you can see all the metallic trim on the top of the saucer, and you can see how there are 5 phaser strips in total, but they don't go all the way around the saucer like they would on the Enterprise D. And I think there are some on the side of the nacelle. This is the first of the bottom. 3 on the bottom saucer at least. You can see the escape pods are colored all yellow. You can see the hole on the bottom of the secondary hull where the stand is supposed to go once I found one. And there's not much detail painting on the bottom except the phasers and the escape pods, actually, although, as you'll see in part 2 of the 2019 video, there was more. I'm going to have to retitle the other video that's up there. Then I started emulating the scenes from yesterday's Enterprise as best I could, especially when the Enterprise turns to protect the Enterprise C and gets in front of it so that it can take on more of its fire and defend the Klingons. And then it starts turning as the Enterprise C slowly turns into the rift. So knowing the episode off by heart, I did the best I could to emulate the screenshots as the Enterprise D comes into view and everything. They may not be quite in the appropriate order, but you get the idea. And then of course there's the Enterprise C heading into the rift. In this case the rift is the window. You see it goes off into the distance simply by getting further away from the ship when you take the shot. And then here it is slowly coming out of the rift earlier in the episode as it approaches the Enterprise D. I mean, I had to improvise stands at this point, and you saw the Enterprise D was on the old 1000 scale stand from the TOS Enterprise because the stand broke for the 3-ship Enterprise set way back in the 90s when I first had it. And let's see here, bottom detail. Oh, there's some metallic trim on the neck now. You can see the gold ring for Star Trek 50 years around the deflector dish. There's a much better view of the bronze trim on the neck. See, without a stand, I tilted the camera so it still looks level, even though the cedar chest isn't level in the picture anymore. Then I started putting on some of the decals that came with the ship. Some of them were so thick they wouldn't conform to the hull, so I could only put on selected decals. Let's see if the next picture shows them on the side. You can see some of the blue trim. You can see the registry number on the nacelle, or at least what showed up as it. And then you see it approaching, well, it's going off into the distance. It's not really approaching anything at this angle. This is just showing, see the blue on the impulse engine, that's good. You can see the trim on the top of the nacelles. There's the registry number, so that may well be the thumbnail for this video. I'll have to pick one yet. And the bottom of the hull, all blue with escape pods integrated into the hull itself. There's a good view. That'd probably be a good thumbnail. Registry number, ship name. No escape pod decals on the front of the ship yet. They'll probably come later. You see there's some bronze trim on the top of the nacelles at the front. I did the red and green aft nacelle indicator lights. Did the striping along the nacelle, along the top there, with the registry number at the back. Close-up view of the saucer. No escape pod decals yet. I just colored them Inca yellow, Inca gold. There's a good view of the secondary hull with all the decals that came with the kit. There's the registry number on the bottom saucer. Here's a good face-on view. That's what it looked like when it first came out of the temporal rift. There it is from the starboard side. So most of the decals stayed in place. You see I colored the RCS thrusters black. There's the shuttle bay decal. And the nacelles, which have, there's the port side. No nacelle trim yet. Starboard side, nacelle trim on it. So it didn't have everything on it, but I'm separating it by approximately the year. So there you go. That's an angle view showing the inner nacelle strut decals. There's the starboard side. So that is pretty well the end of this video for now. Part 1, without music in the way, so no copyright. And you see the decals didn't stay in place, so I had to fix it later. We'll see that in part 2.